Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, welcome to the Bulldog Show. As always, we're sponsored by Deters Law, Parks Yoga, and in addition to that, check us out on all of our platforms. Well, the Murdaugh found guilty in less than 3 hours of jury deliberation. One juror has already spoken, said that they really decided the case in 45 minutes. So that is like a complete and utter rejection of everything the defense did. I'm somebody who watched a lot of this trial during the day when I was in my office, but I didn't see all of it. And I was of the opinion, like when he testified, he did pretty good. However, that doesn't change all the other evidence and how they tied this all thing together. For example, the same shells that were used to kill these two people were all around the farm, and it was directly connected to the same guns that Murdaugh holds. But let me tell you something. I don't want to make light of this because this involved murder, tragedy, disgusting, evil, to kill his wife and his son. However, I think I was right on the motive. The motive is that they were done with him. Now, this is what I was going to say, lighthearted, okay? My wife and I watch Dateline every Friday night. We go to bed early, and the last thing we do is watch Dateline in bed. And we crack up because the things that we've learned from Dateline is don't commit a murder. You always get caught. The only people who don't get caught are serial killers. Everybody else gets caught. Now, along the Dateline analogy, think about this. Just think about this. What if, and there's always something that you get busted on. You think you're going to commit the perfect murder. Just think about this. Do you think he ever dreamt, Alec Murdaugh ever dreamt, that his son would have a video on Instagram when he was there that captured his voice being there? And they got busted. He thought he pulled off the perfect crime. It's like Dateline punchline. Well, guess what? You don't commit murders because you're always going to leave something. You're always going to, by the way, and there's cameras everywhere now, isn't there, folks? I swear to goodness, if you took somebody out in the middle of the woods and shot them, there's a camera somewhere that captures you going in the woods. I mean, it's crazy in the world that we live in. But justice was done. Justice was done. And he's going to get life. And just an awful, awful tragedy. But you do the crime, you do the time, right? PNC Bank. Woke. Remember, I think, I could be wrong, I think they're the same bank that dumped Mike Lindell. They're dumping Don Jr.'s MXM News. It's a news site, a gathering site like Bulldog Reports. Maybe I didn't talk to Don Jr. But the bottom line is PNC Bank, woke, dropped him. Unbelievable. Discover Card's going to start tracking gun sales. Feinstein is out of the Senate because she hasn't been there, 89 years old. She's got shingles. And because these two, Fetterman and Feinstein, aren't there, guess what? No clear majority for the Dems anymore. God works in mysterious ways, does he not? But these people hanging on 89, this is going to be Mitch McConnell, except I'm going to beat him, so it won't make any difference. Whataburger, the most healthiest hamburger in America. Give me a break. No hamburger is completely healthy. They're good and juicy and fat and greasy, and that's why we like them. But Whataburger is supposed to be the healthiest hamburger in America. Amnesty. This guy has let a couple million people come in this country, and, you know, the scheme is clearly obvious. And then he wants to grant them all amnesty, thinking, hey, if I give these people citizenship, I'm going to make these people my voters, Democratic voters. In other words, putting himself over the country. Chuck Schumer says, now, by the way, I'm not a big fan of Fox News much these days, except for Tucker Carlson. Chuck Schumer actually says that Fox News has been the biggest destroyer of this country. Now, just think about that compared to the laundry list of everything that they've done. Really? Tucker Carlson had released to him, Kevin McCarthy, the video footage of the date that we can't mention, And you know what? Everybody's in an uproar. Let's see what Tucker Carlson's able to clip away from that and share with us. You know, it's going to be very interesting. And last but not least, Hershey's, can't make this up. Hershey faces backlash over putting trans woman on candy bar wrapper for International Women's Day. It's Women's Day. Unbelievable. This is the Bulldog. Hershey's. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has a day. Coming up next is local news. Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, welcome to the Bulldog Show TV local news. How do you like that? Always sponsored by Deters Law, Parks Yoga. Check us out on all of our platforms. Remember, coming Monday, the Bulldog Show's name is going to change. But let's get right to it with our lead story. The Kentucky House passed a bill yesterday that bans transgender transition services for youth. Services will not be covered include gender reassignment surgery and puberty blockers. If a healthcare provider does provide gender services to minors, they would lose their license. I support this legislation 100% because this is a decision that is just absolutely wrong. There's a lot of people say, oh, the parents ought to be able to make that decision. No, a parent ought not be able to make that decision for a child. That is life redirecting, destroying decision. I will report that Kim Mosier, Kim Banta, and Stephanie Dietz all voted against that bill. For what it's worth, whatever you think. Long crime. Edgewood man Christopher Whitaker pleaded guilty to 92 offenses, 84 which are a felony, include rape of a child, sexual abuse of a child, could face life in prison. Whitaker's girlfriend, Michelle Bray, was also indicted on human trafficking charges. How do you not give these people the death penalty? You want to pay and house, give 3 squares to this guy for the rest of his life? It's got to change, folks. Cincinnati man Peyton Brown is facing federal charges for sex trafficking. Brown lured multiple teenage girls to his Coleraine home where he kidnapped and exploited them. The teenagers were forced to have sex with men, and Brown would then pocket the money. Kenton County District Court, Ann Ruddle. I like Annie Ruddle. Will be suspended for 2 weeks without pay in May. Ruled she denied the appointment of counsel defendant in 2021. This is a bunch of BS. Anyway, it's only 2 weeks, big deal. They did it to her before for the same issue. We'll see what happens. Local news. Reports show 2022 was a banner year for Cincinnati-based Kroger. The grocery chain topped $148 billion in sales last year and also showed a $2.2 billion profit. That's up 35% from 2021. Riding that inflation wave. An Amber Alert's been issued for a 2-year-old boy who was taken by a woman in North College Hill. The child was with a babysitter when a friend took the child in babysitter's car without permission. Kidnapper Lucy Bulldog has the child and is likely driving in a 2009 black Saturn with the toddler. In Kentucky State news, gaming devices known as gray machines are getting closer to being banned in Kentucky. Completely opposite direction of where I'm willing to go. The House committee passed a ban on the machines on Thursday with a 13-7 vote. It's going to go to the House floor for a full vote. Gray was allowed in Kentucky because they've been considered a game of skill and not gambling. Guess who opposes all this? You guessed it, Churchill Downs and Company. In other words, they want the gambling to themselves. Thursday, Republican lawmakers advanced a bill putting limits on drag shows in Kentucky. The new rules would allow drag shows on public property, would not allow drag shows on public property in places where children could view. Good. In Ohio State news, abortion rights advocates in Ohio have successfully submitted the language for a petition on reproductive rights. The approved copy will now move forward after Attorney General Yost certified the verbiage and summary. The activists hope to reverse the abortion ban with a vote on this November's ballot. A month after the toxic derailment, the EPA will now require Norfolk Southern to test for dioxins in East Palestine. By the way, more Ohio news. Mike DeWine is now saying, "Where are you, Joe Biden?" And Paul Householder took the stand yesterday and gave a lot. I don't know if his first name's Paul. Householder testified. He's testifying in his defense. In sports, NFL Players Association recently ranked the Bengals as one of the worst teams when it comes to family perks. Most teams include daycare, private rooms for families at stadiums, and other creature comforts. They received an F. Wow, imagine that. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. Coming up next, Jamie Spinley. We'll see what he tells us about what's going on in the world.
Happy Friday, folks. Today's world news. A skyscraper in the Hong Kong, which was under construction, has gone up in flames. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital. The fire may have started on the bamboo scaffolding. Cambodia's most potent leader has been sentenced to 27 years under house arrest for treason. He was accused of conspiring with the foreign powers to overthrow the Prime Minister Hun Sen's government. A teenager has been bitten by a crocodile while being evacuated from floods in northern Australia's territory. The 17-year-old was bitten on the back of his leg. The Australian Defence Force has been called in to help victims in the flooded areas. A Belgian woman who murdered her 5 children has been euthanized at her own request, 16 years after the killings. The quintuple murder in 2007 rocked Belgium. The Pacific nation of Vanuatu has declared a state of emergency as it reels from an earthquake and 2 cyclones. The storm caused widespread damage and flooding throughout the island. In sports, Barcelona beat Real Madrid last night 1-0 in the El Clasico to remain top of the Spanish La Liga. Until Monday, have a fantastic weekend. See you then. Cheerio.